Welcome to the ones who were counted out before they even got started. Welcome to the misfits, the ones who were told to sit down and shut up, the ones who were mocked because their dreams were too loud for small minds to comprehend. Welcome to the fire breathers, the soul bleeders, the heart walkers who dragged their broken selves through hell, not to die in the flames, but to build an empire from the ashes. You are not here by accident. No, you are not some fluke, some mistake of ambition. You are here because you are the storm, the thunder after silence, the howl after betrayal, the proof that pain does not break kings and queens. It shapes them into something divine, into something untouchable, into something feared. They said you wouldn't make it, didn't they? They laughed when you started. They rolled their eyes when you kept going. They whispered behind your back that you were wasting your time. And every time you came close to breaking, every time your knees hit the floor, every time your fists slammed against the walls of your own mind, you remembered one thing. Who the fuck said you couldn't do it? Because that voice wasn't yours. It was theirs, and the moment you realized their doubt was fuel, not fact, was the moment your crown began to form. Do you remember the nights you couldn't sleep? Do you remember the days when you stared at the ceiling, wondering if it would all be worth it? Do you remember how alone you felt, surrounded by noise but no one truly hearing you the way you screamed, silently behind a smile, the way you hid your pain because no one would understand what it cost just to show up, every single day while your heart was shattered in 1,000 unseen pieces? You bled in silence, and they called it weakness, but you knew better because you were in the war, while they sat on the sidelines offering opinions you never asked for. And now look at you, not perfect, not untouched, but powerful because of your scars. You didn't just survive, you fucking rose. You turned pain into power. You turned betrayal into focus. You turned fear into fire. And now, you wear your crown, not because it was handed to you, but because you ripped it from the jaws of the very demons who tried to silence you. This isn't some fairy tale. This is a blood-soaked truth forged in rage, resilience, and ruthless determination. You didn't wait for permission. You took what they said you couldn't have and made it yours. You see, people don't doubt you because you're weak. They doubt you because they see your potential and it terrifies them. They see what you could become and it shakes the foundation of their comfort zones. They don't want you to win because your win exposes their excuses. Your rise reminds them of their stagnation, and the louder you roar, the more it reminds them of how small they've allowed themselves to stay. So let them talk, let them laugh, let them question every step you take, because you're not walking for them, you're walking for the version of yourself that almost gave up, and now that version is looking at you like, holy shit, we made it. The crown you wear isn't just metal and jewels, it's made of the nights you cried alone, the mornings you didn't want to get up, the moments you stood in front of the mirror, hating everything about yourself, but still choosing to try one more time. This crown is forged in sacrifice, in sweat, in nights of discipline, when no one was watching, when no one applauded, when no one gave a damn. This crown is yours because you proved every hater wrong, not by shouting back, but by becoming undeniable. They will ask how you did it, and you will smile, not because it was easy, but because you now understand why. It had to be hard. You needed the betrayal to know loyalty. You needed the failure to value success. You needed the darkness to understand your own light. You needed the struggle to learn that no one gives you a crown. You either take it or you die, trying, and you chose to rise every single time they pushed you down, and that's what makes you dangerous. You are the proof that monsters can wear crowns, that warriors can walk with grace, that pain doesn't make you broken, it makes you precise and sharp and focused. You are the nightmare they whispered about. and the dream they said was impossible. You are the legend being written in real time, and they can't stop it because it's already in motion. The crown is not just on your head, it's in your blood, in your stare, in every move you make from this moment forward. You are not seeking validation. You are not asking for respect. You are demanding it by existing louder than their opinions. They wanted you to break, so you bent and built muscle. They wanted you to cry, so you screamed, your battle cry into the silence. They wanted you to quit, but you turned quitting into a weapon. You buried deep in the grave of what used to be, and you marched forward until you became a force too powerful to ignore. This speech is not for the lucky ones. It's for the cursed ones who turned their curses into coronations, for the lost ones who became relentless because nothing else would carry them through. Every hater, every doubter, every person who looked you in the eyes and told you you wouldn't be shit, every one of them helped build this moment, not because they supported you, but because they gave you something to prove wrong. They gave you the darkness that sharpened your claws, the cold that hardened your heart, the rejection that gave you reason to rise. And now every time you show up in the room, the air changes because the one they thought would fall is the one wearing the fucking crown. They don't like your power because it reminds them they have none. They don't like your voice because they spent years trying to mute their own. They don't like your wins because they come wrapped in the wounds. You turned into wisdom. You didn't just grow, you exploded into something divine, something brutal and beautiful. At the same time, they weren't ready for the version of you that didn't ask, didn't wait, didn't flinch. They weren't ready for the version of you that walks through storms like it's sunlight and speaks truth like it's oxygen. You proved them wrong, and you did it in silence. You did it while healing. You did it with trembling hands and a fearless heart. And now, they can't unsee you. They can't unread your story. They can't undo the fact that the very one they ignored became the one they obsess over. They watch you now hoping to find cracks, but all they see is the light they tried to kill and the steel you became from the pressure they buried you in. So wear your crown, not with arrogance, but with authority. This is yours, and no one can take it, because you earned every damn jewel on that thing. Let them hate it. Lets you know you're on the right path. Let them doubt it. Means you're creating what they don't have the guts to even try. Let them talk, because your results speak fluently in the language of undeniable. The whispers will fade, the noise will die, but your legacy will stay. Your rise is not temporary. Your fire is not borrowed. It came from every time you wanted to give up and didn't. And that's the shit they can never replicate, because it wasn't talent that got you here. It was war, and you won. So don't shrink. Now, don't dim yourself for comfort. Don't apologize for the power you earned. They will either rise with you or rot in the past. But you have no time for ghosts, no time for guilt, no time for anything less than greatness. You are not here to prove them wrong anymore. You already did that. Now you're here to show the world what happens when someone who should have stayed broken decides to rule instead. And if they still have the nerve to ask, who TF said you couldn't do it? Show them the crown. Show them the blood on your boots, the fire in your eyes, the empire behind your name. Because this isn't just a comeback. This is a coronation, and you are the ruler of everything. They said you couldn't be. You didn't come this far just to survive. You came to dominate. You didn't claw your way out of the abyss just to be polite and quiet and soft-spoken for their comfort. No, you came to own the very space they said you'd never step into. You came to build your kingdom out of the rubble they buried you under. They thought your silence was surrender, but your silence was strategy. It was the quiet before the reckoning. It was you sharpening the sword of your spirit. And now you swing it with precision. Now you walk like war. Now you speak and worlds shift. That's what they didn't expect. The rise after the ruin. Because you didn't just prove a few people wrong. You proved history wrong. You proved fate wrong. You flipped the script. You broke the generational curses they said couldn't be broken. You shattered the statistics. You embarrassed the odds. You were the 1 in a million they forgot to count. You didn't follow the rules. You made new ones. You didn't fit in. You made space where none existed. And now the same people who told you to quit are watching from the shadows, choking on their silence, unable to deny what you've become. Your name has weight now. Your presence has gravity. When you enter a room, the air tightens. That's not ego. That's evolution. That's what happens when someone walks through every fire and comes out with ash-stained armor and unshakable eyes. That's what happens when pain becomes part of your DNA. When they can't kill your purpose, they'll try to distract you, delay you, discourage you, but you see through it now. Because you know who you are. You earned every scar, every ounce of power, every inch of this crown. No one can steal what you bled for. No one can touch what you transformed. And don't forget this. The moment you started winning, the silence got louder. The congratulations got quieter. That's how you know you're on the right path. Real winners don't need applause. They don't need followers. They don't need validation from the people who doubted them. You've become your own proof, your own engine, your own storm. You don't run on hope anymore. You run on inevitability. You don't beg for support. You create momentum so real, the world has no choice but to keep up or get crushed beneath it. Remember how they told you to be realistic? That your dreams were too big, too wild, too much? Funny how your too much is now their obsession. Funny how the ones who called you delusional are now trying to understand your formula. But you don't owe them explanations. Let them stay confused. You didn't rise for their understanding. You rose for your legacy. And legacy doesn't need permission. It doesn't need to be liked. It only needs to be written in unshakable stone. You know what makes you terrifying to them now? You don't need them. You never did. You've tasted independence, and now there's no going back. You've looked rock bottom in the face and said, "Is that all you've got?" You didn't run. You rebuilt. And that makes you immortal in a way they'll never understand. They'll age, they'll fade, but your impact will echo in the hearts of every person who watched you rise and realized, if they can do it, maybe I can too. That's the ripple effect of true greatness. That's the price of the crown. You carry not just your story, but the weight of those watching you, and you wear it like armor. So no, this speech isn't about revenge. It's not about bitterness. It's about awakening. It's about that precise moment you looked around and realized, wait, I made it. I did what they said I couldn't. You are the proof. Not because you had everything handed to you, not because you were born lucky, but because you chose to suffer with purpose instead of drifting in comfort. You chose to sacrifice when everyone else was sleeping. You chose to believe when there was nothing left to hold on to but a whisper of a dream. And now you walk like legacy. Now you breathe like royalty. Now you wake up every day and know, this wasn't given. It was taken. It was earned. It was bled for. So when they ask you again, who the fuck said you couldn't do it? You don't even need to answer. Just stand tall. Let your presence speak. Let the crown gleam. Let the silence carry the weight of every broken limit, every shattered insult, every lie turned lesson. Because the truth is, you weren't supposed to survive. You weren't supposed to rise. You weren't supposed to be here. You were supposed to fold. You were supposed to fail quietly. But you didn't. You did the impossible while no one was clapping. You became undeniable in a world that wanted you invisible. And that's what makes you royalty. They'll never understand what it cost you. They see the crown, but they don't see the nights you begged the universe for a break. They see the throne, but they don't see the bruises on your back from carrying the weight of doubt, fear, and silence. They see the result, but they weren't there for the process. They didn't see you breaking in silence, praying with tears, screaming in your car, fists clenched so tight you forgot how to breathe. They didn't witness your rebirth. They just watched your arrival, and now they're acting surprised. But you remember every moment. You remember every no, every betrayal, every fake friend who disappeared when you needed them most, every person who clapped for you just loud enough to drown out their jealousy, every smile that felt like a knife, every hand you reached for and found empty. That's what built you. That's what carved you into what you are now. You didn't grow in peace. You grew in chaos. You found your roots in war. And now that you've bloomed, now that you've risen, there's no going back. Not for them. Not for you. You're not the same person they left behind. You're colder, smarter, sharper. You've been burned too many times to ever be soft again. But don't confuse that with bitterness. No, this isn't bitterness. This is power. This is what it looks like when someone takes every cut, every scar, every insult, and turns it into steel. You became the blade. You became the weapon they never saw coming. And now when you move, you cut through the lies. You carve a path they can't follow because they didn't pay the price. They didn't bleed for this crown. You did. You don't need their validation. You don't need their applause. You've already been in the darkness. You've already been alone. And the fact that you still kept going, that's what makes you royalty. Not the wins, not the success, but the resilience, the insanity it takes to keep fighting when you're exhausted, the quiet rage that drives you when no one believes in you. That's what they feel. That's what they'll never understand. Because see, they thought they broke you. And for a while, maybe they did. Maybe you did fall. Maybe you did crack. But you rebuilt yourself brick by brick, with a fire in your soul and no blueprint to follow. You didn't just come back. You came back harder, colder, clearer. Now you don't move with desperation. You move with precision. You don't chase. You attract. You don't beg. You create. And you do it all with that invisible crown they tried so hard to rip from your head. Look around now. The same people who doubted you are quiet. The same ones who laughed, gone. The ones who swore you wouldn't make it, watching from behind locked screens, pretending they never said it. Let them rewrite history in their heads. But you know the truth. You lived it. You fought through it. You conquered it. This crown wasn't inherited. It was earned through blood, pain, and an unforgiving will to rise. And now, you owe no one an explanation. You owe no one your peace. You owe no one your softness. If they couldn't love you at your lowest, they have no place in your kingdom at your highest. Stop shrinking for people who can't even look you in the eye anymore. Stop playing nice with the ghosts of who you used to be. That version of you, the scared one, the small one, the one who doubted everything, they're gone. You buried them. You honored them. But they had to die for the crown to live. And now it's your time. So walk like you own the world, not because it's easy, but because you earned every inch of the ground beneath you. Speak like thunder, not because you're angry, but because your voice is no longer negotiable. Breathe like a king, move like a queen. Be so unapologetically powerful that the ones who underestimated you choke on their regret. Because this is what they didn't prepare for. A version of you that's not afraid anymore. A version of you that doesn't flinch, that doesn't explain, that doesn't slow down for anyone. You are momentum now. You are movement. You are myth and legend and prophecy wrapped into one breathless truth. That no matter how much they tried to bury you, you still rose. And you didn't rise humbly. You rose with vengeance in your bones, with royalty in your posture, with silence louder than their hate. You rose and took your crown with hands that no longer tremble. You rose and looked back at the fire, not to fear it, but to smile at it, because now it burns for you. So now we arrive here at the final truth, the moment they never expected you to reach, the place they never wanted you to stand, and you're standing tall, eyes clear, feet rooted in hell-forged ground, wearing a crown that gleams with the tears you swallowed, the wars you fought in silence, and the countless nights no one clapped, no one believed, no one saw you. But you still rose. They said you wouldn't make it. They laughed. They whispered. They waited for you to fail, watched from a distance hoping you'd collapse under the pressure. But you didn't break. You built. You endured. And now they watch you, not with pity, not with smugness, but with awe, with fear, with respect they can't say out loud. Because you are no longer just a person. You are a storm. You are the product of defiance. You are the embodiment of what happens when someone chooses violence, not with fists, but with persistence. You didn't come this far to be gentle. You didn't come this far to beg for understanding. You didn't walk through your own personal apocalypse just to ask for permission to live. You came to take your place. You came to sit on the throne. They told you didn't exist for people like you. And now that you sit there, head high, heart armored, eyes ruthless, you realize something deeper than power. You realize that you are the standard now. You are the blueprint. You are the voice echoing in the minds of everyone who's still fighting in the dark, reminding them it's possible, that it's worth it, that they aren't crazy for wanting more. You are the symbol they'll hold on to when they're on their knees with nothing left but breath. You are the reminder that resilience is louder than hate, that silence doesn't mean surrender, that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is believe in yourself when the world begs you to stop. This isn't about proving them wrong anymore. You already did that. Every breath you take is proof. Every step you walk in your purpose is a middle finger to every voice that tried to kill your flame. But now it's about legacy. Now it's about building so strong that the ones who come after you won't have to suffer the way you did. It's about showing the next version of you, the younger one, the scared one, the unheard one, that their voice matters, that their fight matters, that they aren't alone, because you made it. You did the unthinkable. You rose, not in spite of the pain, but because of it. Let them keep talking. Let them keep speculating. You don't owe them answers. You don't owe them softness. You owe them nothing. Because the crown wasn't built from gold. It was built from grit, from blood, from the 1,000 rejections that became the bricks in your empire, from the years of being underestimated, underpaid, overlooked, from the heartbreaks that left you cold and made you ruthless. And now they can't ignore it anymore, because you don't walk like someone who's lucky. You walk like someone who survived the kind of hell they couldn't last 5 minutes in. And when they ask again, who TF said you couldn't do it? You won't even need to speak. You'll walk into the room and the air will shift. You'll raise your chin and they'll feel the weight of your journey. You'll breathe and they'll remember every time they doubted you. And you'll wear that crown like it was always yours, because it was. You didn't steal it. You didn't fake it. You became it. They can hate it. They can deny it. But they cannot erase it. You are the truth now. You are the one who made it. You are the final answer to every no you were given. You are the reason others won't quit. You are the sound of footsteps echoing down halls you were never meant to enter, and now you own them. So don't dim it. Don't explain it. Don't justify it. Wear the crown. Show them what royalty born in fire looks like, and never, ever take it off.